guys, welcome to another episode of Matt Zena Acting Tips. Today we are going to be talking about the 10x rule. I actually had to have a look through all of the different episodes that I've done, all right? And because I was like, surely I've done this episode because it's so important. I'm going to explain the 10x rule. It's amazing. It's by a guy called Grant Cardone. So, for me, he's quite a divisive figure sometimes, but for me, he talks a lot of sense on certain things like this. The 10x rule is he decided, look, he was a salesman, and what he would do was he would get a sales figure that he had to achieve when he worked for the people, and then he would times it by 10. So say if it was 100,000, he would make that target instantly 1,000,000, right? Now, people would think, well, how are you going to achieve that? But what he would do is he would sit and write notes, and he would say, look, how can I achieve the 10x of that rule? What can I do? And he'd make notes. And slowly, not based upon his actions and activities and behaviors that he was previously able to do, but he would change his activity levels and his view of what was possible, and he would suddenly get an idea of how he could actually achieve it. And then he would make all of his actions and behaviors actually about achieving the goal that was 10 times bigger. And he would go after it, and he would do it. Now think about it, right? If your goal is actually 10 times bigger than the goal that you're actually going for, then think about the tiny goal. Of course, you're going to achieve that. And that's the magic trick behind the 10x rule. If you've got such a small target and all your actions and everything that you're doing is going so much bigger than that, the small goal becomes inevitable. And I kind of think, actors, apply this to your career. So I've got actors that come into acting and their goal is, I want to get a part on TV. And I say to them, right, well, what is 10 times bigger than that goal? And they start to go a bit doughy-eyed, and it's like, well, doing this, winning this, And I say, right, well, what would it take for you to achieve that much bigger goal? And then they look at me, and it all seems a bit impossible. I say, write down, and it's important to write things down. Write down what it would take for you to achieve that much bigger goal. And they start to write it down. But when they start to write it down and come up with a plan, they start to believe it, strangely. Because they've made their initial goal based on what they know, what their behavior levels that they know that they can do. But we really don't want to work with what we know we can do. We want to become a different person throughout this process. We want to become bigger, a higher performer. And so then actors think of the bigger goal and think, right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go after that bigger goal. And then it's like, wow, well, a part in a TV role, that's going to get done, isn't it? That's going to get done. No problem. All right? And that, my friends, is how the 10x rule works. And think, how can I apply it to me and my career? And go and do it. But make sure you write it down. Writing things down makes it become real. And that's when you really start to believe. And if you believe, that's an emotional response. And if you get an emotional response, the excitement that comes along with that, you will take more action, and you will therefore have actions that are going towards such a big goal and target that the little things, of course, will just happen inevitably. I hope that helps, and it's exciting as a 10x rule. Make sure you do this. Okay, make sure you subscribe, all right? Make sure you comment. And make sure if you've got any follow-up questions, you just let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. But otherwise, I will see you next week for another episode of Matt Zena Acting Tips.